Well, were you one of the old timers who couldn't stand Joe Namath? I was one of them who couldn't stand the guy. I remember my college football coaches at Glendale Community College, they were always degrading him. Nobody really liked the man as a football player. All my life, I disliked the guy. But by accident, the other day, I watched a documentary on Joe Namath, and the documentary made me change my attitude about the man. Sure, he said some things that people didn't like, or maybe there's no doubt about it, he was misquoted. And no doubt when he started playing professional football, he was not the type of guy or a football player the parents wanted their kids to look up to. Joe Namath's story on YouTube is an excellent story. And in the documentary, Joe did an excellent job telling people how it really was. When Joe Namath signed on with the Jets for $400,000, yes, $400,000, that was such big news at that time. I would say outside of New York, people had a hard time accepting the fact he signed on with the Jets at such sum of money. That was unheard of. And of course, he was a big hit with the women. And they loved him. Also, at such time, hardly any football stars had any agents. But Joe did. By accident, this real estate attorney became his agent. And his agent did such a good job for Joe. Looking back, the news media was all over him. The bottom line, the news media had no respect for Joe Namath. From the documentary, it proves the news media had it in for Joe, just like millions of other people did. What about those white football shoes Joe ended up wearing? Was it his idea? He wore those white football shoes? No, it wasn't. Again, at such time, no one wore white football shoes. No way possible. Everyone at that time wore black football shoes. What about the name Broadway Joe? Again, back then, many didn't like the idea. People would refer him as Broadway Joe.
Coach Eubank was also the general manager, and he just got flat tired of me putting so much tape around my darn shoes, because tape costs money. Walk into the locker room one day, and sitting right there on the floor in my locker was a pair of white football shoes. I'd never seen anything like them, and the other guys didn't either.
Low-cut white shoes? I mean, nobody had white shoes. Nobody wore white shoes. Joe, come on, you know? You know, what, are you dancing or what are we doing?
I liked the look. Yeah, I liked the look. I knew it was different. I mean, that was me. Those were my feet. And again, the last time I didn't have white on them, I tore ligaments in my knee.
And I won't quit till I'm a star on Broadway.
We came into the locker room, and sitting on each stool was that magazine with my picture on the front. Now, you got to understand, I'm a rookie. So this is embarrassing as heck. Sitting straight across the locker room from me is Sherman Plunkett, our offensive tackle and the most vested veteran at the time. And Sherman looks at it, and a big old smile breaks out on his face. And I'm looking, he looks over at me, and that smile is there, and he says, Broadway Joe. And that was good, you know, just coming from him, the way he said it.
Overall, people didn't like him at all. So he ended up drinking and partying a lot. But like he said, on the football field is where you have to prove if you can win football games. Again, not the type of football player you would want your kids to look up to. When I was in the Navy, I read this story about him. And he said in the story that quarterbacks were holding the football wrong right before they got ready to throw the football. He changed it. And what he did, he said in the article, that you hold the football low. He said you hold the football low when you fake to a runner. So it's natural to hold the football low, then come up and throw the ball. That was his style, and I liked it. When I got out of the Navy, I went out for the football team at Glendale Community College. I adopted his style, holding the ball low, and it worked so well for me. I felt so relaxed before throwing the football. But our head football coach told me I couldn't do it that way. He said I had to hold the football by my ear or hold it by my helmet. So I did. But it felt so awkward to hold the football next to your ear or your helmet. So unnatural it felt. If you get a chance to watch the documentary on Joe Namath on YouTube, I feel you will have a different view about Joe Namath. I know I did.